I knew absolutely zero about bakeries when I first jumped in. If we're going to micromanage, it becomes such a headache, right? You're always constantly worried. Give them a runway.
Yeah.
Let them go a little bit. It's interesting to see how non-Portuguese people pick up the lingo of a bakery. I think the Portuguese community here and in Portugal are not doing enough to push Portuguese products, because I think Portuguese products are up there with any nationality out there.
So today I spoke to an entrepreneur that started his journey in a very unique kind of way. He actually started his business with no knowledge of what he was getting himself into. Yep, you heard it right. This was a very interesting conversation, but I'll tell you one thing. Everything ends well. I just hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Alex, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me.
Alex something. I'm not going to say your last name because there's no way I can get your last name right. Can you please tell the people your last name?
It's Alex Bournazakis. His last name. Pretty straightforward.
It's actually not that bad, but you know, me and names, period. I'm just terrible with names. So you're lucky I got Alex. It's nice. It's short. Yeah. We get there.
Easy.
So thanks for swinging by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We were just, last week we were having a conversation about the podcast, and I go, come on over. Because I feel it's important for us to talk a little bit about business. We've spoken a lot about business in this podcast. I mean, that's one of the things I like to talk about all the time here. And you have a perspective of business from a bakery side, from other businesses that you're involved with. And I wanted to pick your brain and talk a little bit about that. So where do you want to start? Which business do you want to start with?
Let's start with the bakery business.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
That's the sweet bakery business right over here, guys, which we will be eating,
So, me and my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He did not want to do this podcast.
I have to say, I tried to get him in here, but he says no. Okay.
Yeah. He put a gun to my head and says, "You want to marry my daughter, you got to do the bakery."
And that's it. Thank you so much for being here. That's how you do business.
And that's how you do business. So honestly, we were brainstorming. He always had the idea of opening up a bakery. Mm-hmm. He knows nothing about them. He just had the idea he would like to own a bakery one day. At the time, I was running hockey schools, teaching kids from 5 years old up to 17, 18 years old. And I really didn't think much of it the first time we spoke about it. Yeah. Then we talked about it some more over the course of the year and finally decided to go ahead with it. So we decided to approach Caldense Bakery and talk to them, see what their ideas were. I would say within a couple of years after that first conversation we had, we were in the construction phase of opening up our first bakery on Major Mackenzie.
Oh, that was your first one?
That was our first one on Western Road at Major Mackenzie. Mm-hmm. So we opened there August long weekend 11 years ago. So we're talking about 2012 right now.
Okay.
A lot of ups and downs, but we opened up.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those ups and downs. I think that's the important part about these conversations is that a lot of times when we talk to a business person, we always get the end result.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
I've been in business now for 10, 20, 12,
That's right.
14, whatever years. But I think the most important part is actually those first years.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how it was getting it started, even before the doors were open, because I think a bulk of the headaches start right there.
Such a big problem. So when I first started construction, it was supposed to take 6 months, ended up taking 8, 9, 10 months, whatever it was. And it felt like it was never ending the construction, right? That was tough. But once you got it open, you're excited, right? So you don't mind waiting an extra couple months. You're excited to get going. Opening up our first day, didn't know what to expect. We had a bunch of people working because we didn't know who was going to come in, what the community was like. Although it's a Portuguese bakery, we wanted to attract everyone, but we needed a Portuguese base, obviously, to start this bakery.
Correct.
And then, over time, build up and get other nationalities.
Yeah.
I knew absolutely zero about bakeries when I first jumped in. Zero. I knew the same amount as someone walking on the street right now. I had a girl that helped us out that was part of bakeries for 10, 15 years.
Okay.
She helped us out for the first 6 months. So when you have someone to lean back on, you're truly not learning what you should be learning because you rely on that person too much. Once that person left after 6 months, I was still back at square one. I knew nothing about running bakeries properly.
So this is like kind of a kamikaze approach.
Yeah,
like,
it was
okay.
like put your 2 feet in and sink or swim.
Oof.
So after the first 6 months, I started to do it on my own. She was gone. It was more me just running it by myself. Made a lot of errors. But you know what? I look back now and say, those errors were necessary for me to grow as a business person.
I call it the learning curve.
That's right. It's a learning curve. So the first couple of years was tough. It was really tough. It was 7 days a week. I was working from 4 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night.
So you were actually physically
working inside the bakery. Wow. I was part of the mess.
Okay.
I was there at 4 o'clock, opening up the bakery, getting all the bread ready, the pastries ready. We opened the doors at 5:30, and initially we closed at 10 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I'd be there from 4 to 10 p.m.
Wow, those are long hours.
Long hours, and it was seven days a week. So after the first 6 months, you're sort of in a zombie state. You don't know what's going on. You don't have a private.
Long hours, man.
That's right. You don't have a private life. You don't have nothing, right? You're just focused on building that business. So after the first year and a half, things started to get a little bit better. We found some people that could help us open. I didn't have to go in as early anymore. Then we decided, hey, let's get a second bakery because the first one wasn't tough enough. Let's get a second bakery.
Okay. I see the consistency here.
Yeah,
it's like
so
kamikaze.
That's right. So I went from working 18 hours a day to probably working about 10 or 12 hours a day, back to working 18 hours a day again.
Because now you're kind of dividing yourself between the two.
Yeah, so we opened our second location up in Bradford,
right.
in Bradford, Ontario. Again, I'd have to be there 4 o'clock in the morning.
Tell me you at least live close to one of these.
I live right beside the Woodbridge location.
Okay.
So, quick drive. Now, opening the Bradford one, I'm driving 20 minutes north every day to get there at 4:30 in the morning, and work until 10 o'clock at night. So it was back to square one again.
Wow.
Now, though, I had a better understanding of how to run a business, though.
Yeah.
I had people in place at my Woodbridge location that would allow me to not be there as often and spend more time in the Bradford location until I could build that location.
Yeah.
So the first couple, probably 2.5 years was tough.
So I guess the key feature here when you're opening a business like this is to really find the right person to be there with you, beside you.
That's right.
So you're not the only guy there. If you get sick, what's going to happen?
You go in. You have no choice. You have no choice to go in.
Get the masks on.
Yeah, that's right. So now, the best thing that I learned as an owner is allowing people to have freedom, my workers. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to micromanage everything they're going to do, I might as well just do it myself, right? So I allowed my employees to sort of run with their role, okay. Right? And that's the philosophy of both me and my father-in-law that we spoke about earlier, is allow them to run with it and correct them as they're going. Because if we're going to micromanage, it becomes such a headache, right? You're always constantly worried, this person's not doing this right or they're not doing this right. It's like, give them a runway.
Yeah.
Let them go a little bit. Because they're not going to learn if you're constantly micromanaging them.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're kind of going to be expecting you to correct them in every
That's right.
single
They're
thing.
going to be, well, everything I do, this guy is on my case. So why am I going to go ahead and try to do something different? Right? So I learned over time to not be such a stickler and micromanage, to allow people to.
But were you
breathe.
in the beginning?
I was at the beginning more on myself than I was anybody else.
Ah.
I was tough on myself because I really wanted this to succeed. Mm-hmm. There's a lot on the line. There's my livelihoods on the line and all that sort of stuff. So I was tough on myself. And like I said, that first 6 months really didn't help me much because I had someone to fall back on. I learned after that person left. Mm-hmm. And I was able to pick up my own ways of doing things and all that sort of stuff, right? So I got better after that first 6 months.
Got it.
So I'm tough on myself. And I'm not tough on the employee. I am tough on the employees, but I pick my spots. Because I'm not going to sit there and fight with my employees every single day because it's such a terrible environment to be in if you're going to constantly fight and argue with your employees. It's not comfortable for them. It's not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So
you want to have a good environment.
That's right.
That's
now some days you gotta lay the hammer down, but
it's not so much being the bad boss. I think it's more of being that teacher, right?
That's right.
You walk in, you see something that's not right,
yeah,
and you tell them, listen. I see you did this.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, but you should try the other way.
Right.
And there's a very big difference in doing that versus just yelling at. 'Cause you see that more in the old school.
Yeah.
You would see that a lot in which they would.
Yelling does nothing but discourage that person.
Yeah.
Right. So like I said, I want to be able to walk in and not think in my head already, oh my God, what the hell's wrong right now? Mm-hmm. I want to walk in, talk to my employees. Good morning. How are you? And then go throughout the bakery, take a look and see if there's things that I don't like and discuss with them rather than berate them.
Exactly.
Right? So I've learned that over time. Now, my first couple of years, it was tough because I was part of the problem. I was working, right? So I was getting frustrated if things didn't go well. Then you step back a little bit and you're able to see things from a clearer view. Because when you're part of the problem, when you're part of the mess, you don't see the problems.
Now, when it comes to hiring people, though, how was it the process in the beginning versus now, like based on experience? I'm asking because a lot of entrepreneurs, they talk to me, and a lot of them that I speak to now that have been in the business for longer, they say one thing that is like hire fast, fire faster. And I understand. In the beginning, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What the fuck? But I get that, because if you have a business, you don't want your business to go down just because you're being too nice to that person. If they screw up once, twice, 3, 4, okay, it's enough. And that's what a lot of them are trying to say is like fire faster. It means that if that person isn't good,
cut ties and that's it.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Did you find yourself going through those movements?
So I became comfortable with a lot of people, with a lot of staff members. I felt, okay, the job's getting done. I'm able to focus over here so I can maybe put up with some of the mistakes that I was seeing. In the end, it doesn't work that way, right? But I usually give the benefit of the doubt quite a bit to the employees. I understand what I am. I'm in entry-level positions I have at my bakery, right? It's a lot of first-time workers, don't know much about working because they never worked before, right?
Yeah.
So I became very comfortable, right? And when you become comfortable, you know what happens, right? Things start to slide and stuff like that, right? So I'm a lot tougher now than I used to be when it comes to that, getting rid of people and stuff like that. I don't like doing it. I lose sleep over it.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah,
it's the hardest thing to do.
It's tough. It's tough because there's so many human emotions involved in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and I feel bad for I don't
because these people have a life too.
That's right. They got a life. They got a family and stuff like that. And you fire them, and people make it seem like it's so easy for an owner to do it. It's not.
No.
I've lost sleep countless nights of when I was thinking of getting rid of somebody.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not fun because it weighs on your private life as well.
Of course it does.
So,
because then you end up going home, and then you're talking to the wife, and then
you're thinking about it. You're not mentally there with your family, right?
Exactly.
It's happened to me countless times. My wife knows. She's really good. She knows when I'm having bad. Is
she an integral part of the business as well?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
We'd be divorced. No. She honestly, she's a wonderful woman.
She's a good support
That's
pillar
right.
that you have.
She knows that I work 7 days a week. I still work 7 days a week. It's been 11 years. I work 7 days a week. She knows that.
Yeah.
So she's good at taking care of the kids and
it's the balance.
It's a balance, right? She has her own job though, right? She works at TD. She works for a bank, right? So she has a better balance of our private life than I do. Because mine is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. My mind is on my business.
Yeah, and for couples that are both in a business, I think it's very hard to maintain a good, you know what people say, the life-work balance.
That's right.
It's terrible because as a business owner, you're never in balance.
Never.
Your life is always unbalanced.
That's right.
And if the if the couple is both
in the same business,
it's terrible. If one has, like, my wife's a teacher.
Yeah.
So she brings that structure, and she still helps out with the business, she keeps a different structure to that little scale that we have at home, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like when everybody's in the business, it becomes chaotic, man.
It's tough because you see that person at work, and then you're both bringing those problems home.
It's the same problem.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You're talking about the same problems at work,
exactly.
And it just continues.
It's 24/7, and you need some sort of break. And when I go home, I rarely talk about the bakery. I really do.
Yeah.
Just because throughout the day, you know, so much stuff happens and you're thinking about the next day and you don't want to bring up stuff from the past to your wife because honestly, it's boring for them.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear all the problems at work.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah, nobody likes the problems, right? So we got a better balance now because my wife makes sure we have a better balance at home.
Yeah.
Because she knows I'm on 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, I have to be. You know, my business closes at 8:00 at night. It's back open at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So there's no leeway in 7 days, right? So there's no leeway. There's no break time. There's no weekend where Saturday, Sunday's off. I can sort of relax and recoup for Monday. There's none of that.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, when you're in business, it's so important to have a partner that can be that pillar for you when you get home. The person that understands, because unfortunately, a lot of partners don't get along after a little while because the one that, you know, should be there to support isn't there to support, and then things start falling apart.
That's right.
So it's really good that she's able.
Yeah,
to
I
do
know
that.
she is. She's great. She's great. So
Good job there. So since you guys opened, it's it's now been quite a few years,
Yep.
and with the pandemic in the middle.
Yes.
How did you guys navigate that one?
So that was tough. No word of a lie. But the first few months was tough for everyone. No one knew what was going on when the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
Everyone had to stay home. No one was going out. We reduced our hours quite a bit, our ordering, our amount of people working. We just didn't know what was going on. Once we sort of got 4 or 5 months into this pandemic, we noticed a change. Mm-hmm. The change was a lot of people couldn't travel. So a lot of people were staying in. Even though we've been at our locations for, at the time, was 8 and 9 years, people didn't know we were there. So a lot of people, because they were staying in or close to home, they were finding us during that time.
Got it.
So that was maybe one benefit to COVID. I know it's bad to say, but so they're staying closer to home. They wanted more stuff now. Mm-hmm. As opposed to they're going on vacation, they don't have time to find us, they're working. No one was working. Everyone was at home. So they're taking their walks, family was going out and stuff like that. So pre-pandemic, we did not sell any groceries in our stores. No grocery items, none at all.
Interesting.
Couple things, a couple pops like the Somos and compiled drinks, juices and stuff like that. As we were coming 6 months to a year into the pandemic, we started realizing that people were asking us for products. Mm-hmm. Portuguese products predominantly, obviously, right? So we sort of transitioned a lot of our table service that we had, because no one was allowed to sit inside the bakeries, we started turning those tables into mini grocery shelves. And we found during that pandemic that people were coming to us to buy their groceries now. Not full grocery shopping. They were coming in to buy a couple items here. The little things,
essentials, right?
That's right, the essentials. 2 years down the road, we started adding proper grocery shelves in our place. Proper shelving, and all that sort of stuff. And we found now we've become our essentials, our breads, our pastries, and all this sort of stuff.
You're
but now,
still a bakery.
We're still a bakery. But now we're offering grocery items, Portuguese imported grocery items.
Yeah.
And we find that people don't mind paying a little bit more and shopping at our bakery because it's convenience.
Well, there you go. It's the convenience, especially with the traffic nowadays.
That's right.
You know
That's
what?
right.
If you have to pay an extra $1 for something, I
right.
will gladly do it
That's
rather
right.
than get
That's right.
stuck in traffic because no, thank you.
That's right. And at that time, COVID was still prevalent and people didn't want to be in crowded areas in grocery stores. So if they could avoid it
Yeah.
by getting their essentials that they needed for that day, why go to a big box store?
This is interesting. Like I've spoken to a lot of people and I always try to ask what happened during the pandemic in their business. And it's so interesting to see how every business kind of worked with it.
That's right.
And a lot of times, in your case, from what you're saying, you actually found a source of revenue
That's right.
in a way that I don't think you probably would have found
Never.
if it wasn't for the pandemic to happen. Because
for
then
sure.
you saw the need there
That's
for
right.
those products, right?
That's right.
It's
That's right.
interesting.
So what I try to do is I don't try to be the generic Portuguese product. So what I want to offer to the clientele now, because they're looking at us for the stuff, I try to find the imported stuff from Portugal that you cannot find in the Walmarts and the Frescos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm finding the Portuguese product that brings up back the nostalgia from when they were kids back in Portugal.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to offer the essential Portuguese products that everyone carries. and also the variety of stuff that they cannot find unless they go back to Portugal. So I become a source for a lot of the customers now to come to us to see what's new that they can't find in the big box stores.
I remember I was talking to your father-in-law about what was it last year that you guys brought some ice cream from Portugal.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a success.
It was more than a success. That brought back childhood memories of people our age when they were kids in Portugal.
Yeah.
That was a pretty.
But
good
it's
run
those
last
little things, right? And I think that's the important part is to try to actually get people's feelings involved into the product, right? But Alex, you're not Portuguese, man. Explain to us, how much of a Portuguese guy are you now?
So, interesting you say that. So, I'm Greek and Italian.
Okay.
Not very Italian. Very Greek.
Okay.
Very old school Greek. Go to Greece every year. But being in the Portuguese community now for the last 11, 12 years that I've been in, plus with my wife, we've been married 13 years, been together for 18 years. I've almost become like an honorary Portuguese.
I see. Do you have the Portuguese stamp
already?
That's right.
Right? All I need is my citizenship and we're all set. How do I say this? I understand the Portuguese language in the bakery setting.
Okay.
You can talk to me in Portuguese, in the bakery, asking for product, looking for this, looking for that. I will understand you. I don't have the confidence to speak it. I know what I need to say in Portuguese. I have zero confidence in saying it. Zero.
I think after 18 years, probably at this point, if you were to spend 6 months in Portugal to a year, you would probably catch.
I'd probably pick it up. Yeah.
Pick it up like
I go to Portugal. The last few years I've been there a couple of times. I can pick up what they're saying.
Yeah.
Now, when the locals start talking to each other and they're going a mile a minute, forget about it. I'm in space, right? But I can pick up the gist of every conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't know when we first started how it would be to be a non-speaking Portuguese person running a Portuguese bakery,
and how that's perceived by the public as well, by the clients.
I'll give you. We'll talk about that now. So
okay.
When we first entered, I didn't even know what simple terminology was in Portuguese. I didn't know what tosta mista meant, which is a simple ham and cheese grilled sandwich.
Which are amazing.
So people would come in and ask for tosta mista. I'm like, what do you want? Eh? Oh, ham and cheese grilled. Oh, yeah, okay. You start to pick this stuff up now over time, obviously, and you're starting to pay attention. And it would be ignorant of me not to try to learn this stuff.
Of course.
Running a Portuguese bakery, right? So I wanted to pick this stuff up, right? So that's how I was able to, over time, understand all the lingo in the Portuguese bakery. So I can have an old school Portuguese person come in and ask me a question about the bakery. I got an answer. I'm not going to say it in Portuguese. I'll tell them in English, but I understood exactly what they're saying.
Fair enough.
Now, when I first opened, my opinion of the situation, of customers, how they felt about me, I felt that there was two categories. They were unsure about me and upset about me.
Okay.
Now, that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But I was sort of insecure with myself, too, when we first opened.
And that shows.
Yeah.
And when you're not comfortable, it shows.
It shows. And people can pick up on insecurities.
Right away.
Right? So I felt they were not sure about me and they were upset about me, to be honest with you. But over time, I'm a staple in the community now. People know who I am.
Yeah.
So they know who I am. They know my background. They know all that stuff. So they're able, they've got over that stage that they were, if they were in that stage.
Yeah.
And they just look at me as a human being now.
But I think, you know what, overall, when we speak communities and all of that, yeah, we do understand that if you're going to a Portuguese bakery, we get that a lot of the products or most of the products are going to be in Portuguese. And a lot of the people working there should be Portuguese to understand that.
Yeah.
But we also are in Canada.
That's right.
We were in Toronto.
Yep.
We speak English. So there's that little thing. Yeah, we should see and hear more Portuguese, but what the hell? We're still in Canada.
You're absolutely right. Now, you should have Portuguese-speaking people at the bakeries because they're still the older clientele. They like to keep their tradition, their nationality. They want to speak to people in Portuguese.
Yeah.
I understand that fully. I'm not going to say, oh, screw all the Portuguese. I'm going to hire whoever the hell comes in.
Yeah.
We do hire whoever comes in. Doesn't matter nationality. We don't care about nationality. But we need a few people that speak Portuguese as well.
Yeah, it
Because
makes total sense.
you have to have it, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about hiring a lot of young kids that we do is they pick up the Portuguese lingo of the bakery as well, even though they're not Portuguese.
The non-Portuguese ones.
You know, we got a lot of Italian, Filipino, Spanish, Greek. They pick up the lingo. So if someone comes in and says, "Hey, I want 6 pop 6," they know what pop 6 are.
Yeah.
They know what buns to give them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how non-Portuguese people pick up the lingo of a bakery, right?
Yeah.
As they're there. So they learn. They don't think they're learning, but they're learning some of the Portuguese language, right?
Right.
So it's very interesting to see. But like I said, I've become part of the community both in Woodbridge and Bradford. People know who I am. They got to know me as a person, and they're looking at me now as a person and not as this Greek guy that's running a Portuguese bakery.
Yeah, you start putting the nationalities
That's right.
aside
That's
and
right.
you start dealing more with the person.
And they see how you are. You're personable. You talk to them. You
Yeah.
shoot the shit with them and all this sort of stuff. They just want to be treated as a person. Just like I wanted to be treated as a person when we first opened.
I think the only issue you probably had throughout all these years is during the Euro or the.
Yeah.
I mean, soccer it might be.
Loved it. You know what? I put the Portuguese game up on the TV and we were packed.
You have to cheer.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
That's it.
Hey, I want Portugal to go as far as you can every single year, and I want them to
There
win.
you go.
That's it.
That's the only instance that I would see that there would probably be a little bit of an issue with the Greek guy and the Portuguese guy. You know, that's
Zero issue. I'll tell you why. Because 2004, Greece beat Portugal twice in Portugal. So there's zero issue with it. First game of this tournament, last
Yeah.
game of the tournament. That's it. So I'm set. I got the championship for Greece. Overall set. Portugal
Okay.
can win every single World Cup and Euro Cup from here on out.
There you
which
go.
is perfect.
Fine. Okay. I guess you settled on that one. Fine. So let me just interrupt this conversation for 2 seconds to say thank you to the guys that have been supporting us here at the Creative Spin podcast. Café Brasiliano. This is the space we're at. So if you're in Toronto or if you're visiting Toronto, now you know of a cool place to come and grab a nice coffee or sandwich. So make sure to come around, support these guys. You're supporting us at the same time. Thanks. Aside from the fact that you guys now noticed, okay, you know what, we can have some more products in here, do all this stuff. Has there been anything else that you think that you've evolved or you've changed in your bakeries because of what we went through, and that is still on today? Like that you still, for whatever reason, you're still, you said like the same way as we were talking about the grocery items. Was there anything else that helped?
You know what? What I find from the pandemic, a couple of things we've kept from the pandemic. We got more of a flow in the bakery where before everyone would come in one door, pile up together, and sort of be on top of each other. Now we sort of got a rhythm in our bakeries where, because we place the grocery shelves where they are, we stay in a sort of formation with customers. So there's no more gathering around and hovering over people. So, and we still had the stickers on the floor from the pandemic, 6 feet apart.
They're still there.
Arrows and stuff. But the arrows actually play an integral part because when people walk in, they see it. They know where to walk in the bakery and stuff like that. Right? We got the sneeze guards up on the pastry shelves that we should have had at all times, right?
Yeah.
Now that we've gone through this, you think like, why the...
Yeah, it's interesting. All these little things
That's
that
right.
now we're like, you know what? We should have been using this before.
That's right. We used to have cakes, like regular pound cakes sitting on top of the counter. Not open. Now we have them wrapped in saran wrap.
Yeah.
It's like, use your head, and we should have did this beforehand too.
Yeah.
We didn't need a pandemic to have this stuff, right? So there's a lot of good things that came out of the pandemic for us, right? That we sort of carried on and all that sort of stuff. So.
And how has it been now after post-pandemic, and how are things going now? And what have you guys been implementing into the business? Like, how's that been going?
So post-pandemic, things have gone well for us. We were lucky to be in the right type of business, the bakery business that sort of thrived through the pandemic. I know a lot of businesses closed down. We just got lucky. We didn't do anything special. We just got lucky. We are now trying to upgrade what our bakeries look like. They were becoming very stale, colors from 10, 11 years ago. So we're trying to make this a more homey bakery.
I've noticed that even we've got some of the packaging here, your cup, the packaging and all of that. I'll put some close-ups so that people can see it better. But it really looks like you guys are taking care on your image.
Yeah, image is important.
Yeah.
You go to someone's house with a plain white box. They don't know where it came from. They don't know who brought that. So if we can slap your name on it, people know now where they're going. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Caldense Bakery because I remember those custard tarts that I had, and I took a picture of the box or something like that. So image is very important. We spent a lot of time on the Facebook pages, as you know, right? The Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that. How much that brings in, I couldn't tell you. But I got people now, customers sort of coming in and saying, hey, I saw this on Facebook.
Yes.
Do you have it?
I was actually having this conversation with your father-in-law last week about the perception of social media or marketing per se, when it's what you say. You don't know how much it's affecting
That's
you
right.
until it's affecting
That's right.
you.
We'll never have dollar value on the marketing that we're doing.
It's so hard to say because
Yeah.
I was even telling him about the creative spin. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the following, it's growing, it's getting there. But, you know, a lot of times I talk to people who I've never seen them like any of the posts or do any.
Yeah.
But then when they see me, they're like, hey, how was I like that
That's right.
podcast. I like,
That's right.
I'm like, God damn.
So it does work.
It works.
It works.
But sometimes you don't see it. And it
That's
kind
right.
of, it almost like makes you think twice. Like, is this worth it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But then when you get, you know, that person walking in and going, hey, I saw you on the podcast, or I saw that post on,
That's right.
on
That's
Instagram,
right.
then you go, okay, so it is working.
It does work. We're too small to find out what the monetary value is of those marketing
It's
firms.
difficult.
We're not a McDonald's. We're not a Tim Hortons, right?
But even at that level, I think it's very difficult. I
Of
mean, how
course.
can you quantify an ad or a billboard that's on? Like,
Exactly.
How do you quantify that?
Yeah. But they're doing it for a reason. They're obviously doing it for a reason.
Exactly.
Those guys are smart enough that works for them.
Exactly.
Right? So we're trying to change. We're trying to become mainstream. We're trying to make this Portuguese products and Portuguese stuff mainstream. It's not right now. It's not mainstream.
But what are your thoughts about the Portuguese products and why aren't they mainstream?
So you talk to anybody that's non-Portuguese. What do they know? Portuguese chicken, pastéis de nata, custard tarts. That's all they know.
Yeah.
They don't know that we have this type of pastry. They don't know that we carry this type of product. They know nothing. It's not being pushed enough. And we're hoping that this marketing that we're doing, the Facebook post, the Instagram stuff, will get more mainstream out there.
Yeah.
I will tell you one product that we have that no one knew it was coming from our bakery. It's called Rosca de Coco.
Okay.
Coconut, it's a flat coconut bread. It's round. It's got coconut, cinnamon, a little bit of custard spread on the inside. Now, people come in, they ask for this. Over time now, over the last probably 3-4 years, we noticed that non-Portuguese people are coming in for this. So we've got to the point, me and my father, when we were thinking, we were like, we got to make sure we have this product all the time now. Because if you don't have it all the time, that customer is going to come in once, maybe twice, and it's not there, we're not going to come back.
Right.
Now we have it there. Now some days we have to throw that stuff out, but now the customers know that, hey, I know I can go to Caldense
will be
Bakery
available
and
if
I'm
you
going
go
to pick
there.
up that cake, even if they don't have it on the shelf. They probably got some in the back that they just baked. Right. So we becoming a little more mainstream for some of our products. I just don't think it's mainstream enough. I think I think the Portuguese community here and in Portugal are not doing enough to push Portuguese products, because I think Portuguese products are up there with any nationality out there.
I agree.
Not better than any nationality, but it's up there with every nationality.
I agree. But what do you think? Like, if you had a special power wand and you could do something, you know, like a little magic touch, like what do you think would be needed to push the products forward?
I think it starts with the Portuguese government in Portugal.
Okay.
I think first they need to push their product to the market here in North America. It's a huge market, the Portuguese market, right? I think they see it though as a small market.
But when you say that, is it like the specific products?
Specific products, or you know,
So the government helping the companies that make these products to push them out.
So to pick up a good Portuguese wine, you can't go in the LCBO. you'll find it maybe on the Dundas location. You'll find a good Portuguese wine that you had in Portugal. You go to the ones out on the outskirts in Woodbridge or Bradford where there's tons of Portuguese. You'll find the generic brands of wine.
Yeah.
Portugal has great wines.
Amazing.
Why are they not here? Why are they not getting pushed by the government there to the Canadian government here? Saying, hey guys, we got this product. We want to push it to you.
Yeah.
Now, they might be doing it. This is my opinion, right? They may be doing this, and the government saying, you're too small for us, Portugal.
Could it be an import issue? Like
Could it
whoever's
be?
importing the
So
wine.
why is there 1,000 bottles of Italian wine and 1,000 bottles of Australian wine and Chilean wine and New Zealand wine and California? Why do they have so many different variations of wine? People know who they are right now. They know Italian wines. They know French wines. They know Australian wines. Why? Someone had to be pushing it.
Yeah.
Who's pushing it? Right? It's not the winemakers that are pushing it. It's got to be the government that's sort of working with brokers in all these regions and saying, hey, try this wine out. It's a good wine.
Because it's interesting you're saying that because even when I went to Paris a couple of years ago, I was looking around in the supermarkets and the stores and all this stuff. And being Europe, I mean, we're basically next to each other. Portugal, got Spain in the middle, and then France. I didn't find a lot of Portuguese products. And to me, it's you're in the European Union. Like, how is this possible? Because it should be easy.
It should be. Now, the European Union might have a say to all this stuff too, right?
True.
And in France, how many Portuguese live in there? Tons of Portuguese are living there.
My God.
Yeah, right? So
I was probably not looking in the right spots.
Yeah.
I'm a tourist, so I don't know the spots.
Why isn't it mainstream? Because everywhere you go here, you find the mainstream products.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
You don't find Portuguese products everywhere you go.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, why do I have to go to a Portuguese neighborhood in
That's
order to
right.
find the Portuguese products, right?
Yeah. Why is that? It's got to start from the top. It has to start with the government. I would assume it starts with the government. Right? It's not going to be some
They
winemaker.
would only benefit with that, right?
Yeah,
you would think.
You would think you would benefit from that stuff, right? But it almost feels like to me, it's like we're comfortable, we're good. We don't need to really push all this stuff. We'll give you our generic stuff, and we'll keep the good stuff for us. It's like, hey, man, let's get our name out there a little bit more, right?
Well, I think, you know what, entrepreneurs like yourself and others that are out there that are, now starting the businesses and all this, I think it also, if you guys get together and start really putting some pressure, I think the government they should at least start paying more attention.
I would hope so.
Because a lot of times, and I'm only saying this because a lot of times we have this thing about complaining.
Yeah.
Oh, the government's not doing anything, but we're not doing anything either.
We're not doing our part.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like the government might not even understand that because they're sitting in their little chairs there and in Portugal, and they have their problems to deal with, and a lot of times they don't really understand what happens in communities.
That's right.
They hear about the communities and all of that, but they might come in over on holidays, but they don't really understand how it is to live in a country within a community. So a lot of times it comes from us that are here to start making the noise and getting them aware of, hey, listen, you know what? We want to spread the cultural products that we can bring from there.
Yeah.
How about you guys give us a hand too? And
you would hope someone would do that. No, we have a lot of big players in the Portuguese community.
Yeah.
Are they doing their part? Are they doing that? I don't know. Like I said, this is mostly my opinion. What I'm thinking.
Well, let's go on to the comments, people. If you know, or if you're part of that group that is actually someone that is trying to do something for a Portuguese product or anything, just put it down in the comments. Let's get the conversation going because I mean, this is the kind of conversation here that can start.
Yeah, you would hope to
right?
sort of start a movement and get people talking. Like, hey,
exactly.
Maybe there isn't enough Portuguese stuff here, right?
Exactly.
And there isn't, to be honest with you. There really isn't.
I don't think there is. I mean, I don't think there is, especially because me being Portuguese and knowing the culture there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there until I was 19. So for me, I still feel like I'm more Portuguese than I am Canadian.
Sure.
Because I was raised there.
Yeah.
So understanding the product, the culture that we have there and the products, I feel like when I compare it to what we have here, it's like 2% of what we have there.
It's
like
a drop
there's
in a bucket.
so much
It's a drop in a
stuff.
bucket for sure.
Beautiful things like
Yeah.
that you're like, oh my God, why can't we get that there?
But it's amazing because the Portuguese community is huge in North America.
Yeah.
You know, Toronto, Montreal, you got Vancouver, you got the Northeast and Boston and Rhode Island and stuff like that. There's more Portuguese living outside of Portugal, right?
100%.
So you think they would focus on those markets as well, right? But like I said, it's speculation right now that I'm speculating how things are being run. I still think something needs to be done though.
Yeah, because the way I see it is there's a lot of, like, each one of you guys is doing a little part.
That's right.
But
It's not enough.
But it's not enough. I
Yeah.
think I don't know if there's a way to get all these little bits and pieces
Almost
together
like a conglomerate working together.
and
that's right.
have like, I don't know, like something has to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I agree fully.
And nowadays it should be easier with the advancements in technology. We
That's
can
right.
communicate easier. We
That's right,
can,
that's
you
right.
know, it's so much.
It's a 24-hour industry, right? 7 days a week,
Exactly.
right? So everyone is aware.
Yeah.
And you can reach Europe in no time now, right? Compared to back then.
Yeah.
So
So I think you know, let's keep pushing. I guess everybody has to do their little.
we're
thing.
trying, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get some more stuff in here.
And what else? What else do you have to advise to somebody that's out there going, you know what? I want to start a business. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. What are the key little features that, I guess, not only from the bakery's perspective, but from a business perspective, that you would say, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Start, but
How about this? Always be willing to learn. I'm learning every single day.
yeah,
And from day one to now, I've changed so much as a business person. I knew absolutely zero. So right now, I know a little bit.
would you advise somebody to start knowing absolutely zero?
No, definitely not. You got to have some sort of knowledge, but I really did know zero. Actually, below zero, I
But
knew.
hold on, you knew zero probably in the actual bakery, the products and all that, but
Business itself as well.
Business as well.
Business as well. I didn't know much.
Damn, Alex.
Yeah,
You're like
I knew.
going crazy there.
I knew nothing. Luckily, I had my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. They have own their own business for
Yeah.
many years, so they were able to guide me. But they weren't there every day with me.
Yeah.
So I knew nothing. I had to learn on the fly. And like I said, still to this day, it's been 11 years, and I'm always learning something, and I'm listening. I'm also listening to other people, because I may think I have all the answers. I do not have all the answers. No one has all the answers.
Nobody does.
The more you talk to people, you're like, that's a good idea, or I don't agree with that guy.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to learn on the fly and listen. Don't think you know everything. If you think you know everything, you're doomed.
Yeah,
It's tough.
I 1000% agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying. I think it's important for us to keep ourselves humble, not start with an attitude.
That's right,
Of,
that's right.
oh, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Entrepreneurs learn all the time.
Yeah,
They're always learning.
You're don't go in thinking you're all that.
Yeah.
Be humble. Keep learning, because you can learn sometimes from that employee that you just
That's
hired.
right. That's right.
You can
Yeah.
learn a couple of things from them too, and staying humble and being able to accept that and to really learn from that
That's right.
is what I think is key.
You got to check your ego at the door.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning, I was high and mighty. Now I'm just an everyday guy walking into my bakery, seeing what's going on. And I'm always listening and learning, listening to customers, listening to employees, talking to other business owners around as well, and picking their brain as well to see how I can always better myself. And by bettering myself, it betters a business,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be willing to listen. If you're willing to listen, you will be successful. May not be in this business, might be in another one, but you will be successful as a business person. My opinion.
All right. Give us 3 products from your bakery that if anybody walks in there, they should ask for these 3 products. If they've never tried them, they need to try them today.
First, pastéis de nata, custard tart, obviously.
Of course.
Got to have one of those. Second,
And I might add, you got to put some cinnamon
got to
on
put
it.
cinnamon on it. Yeah.
And if you can warm them up, it's a perfect thing.
Second thing is our rosca de coco, which is we talked about earlier,
Okay.
which is our coconut ring
I'll
cake.
get an image over here.
Yeah, it's our coconut ring cake that it feeds 15, 16 people. It's perfect for your party events, and it's just a great pastry cake. Like I said,
Nice.
it's become a staple in our bakery. Everyone knows we have it.
Okay.
Third thing, formigueiro cake. It's a chocolate and coconut pound cake.
Formigueiro cake.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a chocolate coconut pound cake.
Okay.
This cake for every morning coffee is one of the best cakes we have. I hate coconut with a passion.
Okay.
But the coconut that we use, we don't use the flakes, the coconut flakes, it's coconut flavor.
Okay.
And you get the coconut and the chocolate mixed together. It is a phenomenal cake.
All right.
So those are 3 things that you have to try if you've never tried them
Now
before.
you know.
And if you haven't tried a custard tart, I don't know what's wrong with you.
You got to try these.
You got to try them.
Well, we're going to finish up trying these just to make sure that they're okay. Of course they are. But, let people know where the locations are exactly. So this way, I mean, we'll put them down on the description, but you're up in Major Mac.
So at 3651 Major Mackenzie Drive West, we are between Weston Road and the 400 on the south side in the LCBO Plaza.
Yeah.
And the Bradford location is 442 Holland Street West. It's the new part of Bradford in between the Canadian Tire Plaza and the Home Depot Plaza. We're on the south side as well.
So there you go.
442 Holland Street West.
If you're watching us from Ontario, I guess, Toronto, GTA, you know where to go. If you're from Portugal or anywhere else, when you come over on holidays, you know where to go. Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it.
This was a good conversation.
Yeah, it
I
was
hope
fun.
that, anyone listening that's, thinking about getting into business now has a little bit more of an insight of what
Hopefully
to
we
do
can help
and
somebody
what to
out.
see. And I think we have to dive into
let's
to
dip
these
in.
guys. Guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We're going to dive in.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. We're going to make a mess. We're going to make a mess. Very good.